succeed in this career field. Call 702-878-1185 or visit www.ahdvegas.com today.
The London Bridge Resort in Lake Havasu is the perfect place to vacation in style. Their beautifully designed suites include stunning views, a kitchenette, and free Wi-Fi. The well-reviewed and affordable resort has tons of amenities, including a breakfast buffet, kids camp, a 9-hole golf course, 3 pools, a marina, boat tours, a water slide, and a great nightlife scene. London Bridge Resort is centrally located in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. Go to londonbridgeresort.com to plan your getaway today. London Bridge Resort, your Arizona oasis destination.
It's Pushing the Limits coming live on a Wednesday, 107.1 FM, and here live from the fabulous studios of KSHP, 1400 AM. You can find us all over the World Wide Web, folks. Occupy Democrats Network, as well as the PTL Facebook and YouTube pages. And the phone lines are 702-221-7283. Probably not a ton of phone calls because we have an outstanding guest here live in studio, folks. He is our friend. He is one of our favorites. Longtime NBA veteran player, longtime coach, and now Las Vegas resident.
That's right.
We love it. Little Paul Mokeski here live in studio. Paul, we appreciate the time.
It's great
How
to
are
see,
you, my friend?
It's great to see your face in here, Chris Winn.
A little switch up, right,
There
from
you
Brian
go,
Shapiro.
yeah.
Brian, a little bit under the weather. He'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, I see he took my Trump bobblehead with him somewhere.
Wait, there was one in here floating around?
Oh,
there was
yeah.
a Trump bobblehead?
I gave it to
nice.
him. I gave it to him last week.
Speaking of which, Mo, so you get a chance, because you come in and you get a chance to kind of hear the back end, right, of the political discussions.
I went on the drive-in.
And on the drive-in, you get a chance to kind of get a gauge, right, and get a listen on what's going down. What do you think about some of the phone calls that come in here from the likes of Julie and JD and some others?
Well, first of all, Julie, in case you don't know, if you're in a cult, you don't know you're in a cult.
Exactly.
That's the whole point.
Yes.
So, and we can talk about Trump, like the guy that said Trump's a businessman or whatever. Okay, so he bankrupted an airline. He bankrupted a university. Yeah. He bankrupted a damn casino. How do you bankrupt a casino?
That's like almost an impossibility,
I know,
right?
Exactly. So, but the one thing, like you had talked when I was driving in about, switching over from Democrat to Republican or Republican.
I don't get it, Mo. I don't understand it.
Well, Trump will tell you, because when someone tells you what they are, believe them. So Trump, before he ran, he told someone, if I ever run for president, I'm going to run. Here's a Democrat. I'm going to run as a Republican because I can do whatever I want and they will still vote for me. I can shoot someone in the middle of the street and they will still vote for me. Believe them, and they did.
Yeah, and it's not even just him shooting somebody in the street. Now it is literally a situation where January 6th happens, right? Where he was instrumental in what became the disruption of the process, right? Where you want to decertify the election in the United States of America. And there's still millions of Americans that support him to this day. I mean, it is flabbergasting to people like myself and you, I'm sure.
You know what's really scary, Chris?
That it's still out there.
Yeah. So, I have 2 sons, and they're married, and they're going to have kids. I'm afraid because when January 6th happened, I can remember, and I was shocked, and I was embarrassed for our country. I've been all around the world. I've been in the 42 countries, and, I have friends that work in China and Australia and Spain, and they work all over and they were embarrassed for us about what was happening. That's what we see that happens in some other country. Look at those; they're trying to overthrow the country, And here's the scary part: if, God forbid, he gets back in the White House, he's going to do it because he's learned what not to do and what to do, and he's going to put people in place that are democracy. And he said it. I'm only going to be
a dictator on day one.
That's all. Just what? Really?
Which is not the case if he was able to do it. And by the way, I don't think he's able to do it. It's the United States of America. You wouldn't be able to be a dictator, period.
Though.
But in a perfect world for Donald Trump, it wouldn't be just day one. So he would continue to do it until he got done what he wanted to get done.
So
you know what I mean?
So I'm a guy, people I'm a realist, right?
Right.
People are optimists, and some people think that coaches sometimes are pessimists because we have to point out the negative stuff so we can fix it. But I'm a realist, so he barely left the White House this time.
Yeah.
And next time he's going to have people in place that are going to be around him. So I can see a situation where, he can't be elected, right? If he's there the second time, that's it. You got to go. Well, he said, I don't understand why that happens. I could do it. And all of a sudden, he's putting people in place, generals, admirals, in place that say, I'm not leaving. You need to protect me in the White House.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It's a disheartening way to look at what possibly could transpire, right? And you hope that the roadblocks are there when it comes to American society and our democratic republic.
They
right?
barely were
That's
last time.
happen,
Chris, if those pages didn't pick up those boxes with the votes in and protect them, and they were taken or destroyed or whatever those people would have done, then what are we in? Something we've never seen before.
Spot.
Yeah,
no question.
Yeah.
Paul Mokeski joining us here live in studio on Pushing the Limits. Paul, longtime NBA veteran, both player and coach. So Mo, you played at the highest level, okay, as a player, and you coached at the highest level as well too. So you're well aware of being in moment, and you've been in situations where you played in playoff series, and you had an opportunity to play on a team that could get to a championship. So I want to kind of pick your brain on what transpired this past weekend, because we had Championship Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Your Kansas City Chiefs were able to come out victorious.
And I was a Lions fan earlier.
Over the Baltimore Ravens in that game.
My dad was born in Hamtramck. I played for the Pistons. So, I wanted the Lions to get here. That would have been something.
And so we had a matchup after Kansas City moves on to the Super Bowl, their fourth Super Bowl in 5 years. Not a monster surprise, but a little bit of surprise that Kansas City gets there.
Ravens are good.
Ravens are a good football team, and they were able to knock them off in Baltimore. And then we moved to that Detroit Lions-San Francisco game. Now, I'm sure a lot of you sports fans out there have heard it nauseum on sports radio over the past few days as far as what transpired in this game. You have an untimely fumble by the Lions. You had some wide receivers dropping some balls. But a major part of the discussion has been Dan Campbell and the fourth down calls. Should he have gone for it? Should he have not gone for it? Should they have kicked the field goals? But what I want to address with you is this. The concept of the rarity that it is that you have an opportunity to be in this spot. You, as a player, were in this position where you were on a team that was damn good, as one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, and you could have possibly made it to the NBA Finals and won an NBA championship, right? Yeah. And you were denied. But the point is, you were on the doorstep of it, right? And you guys weren't able to pull through and actually get there. The Detroit Lions, exact same situation on Sunday. Detroit has a 24-7 lead going into halftime. All right. The game plan was solid throughout the first half. They ran the football. Everything was going right for Detroit in the first half. And then the second half transpired, and we saw what happened. And San Francisco was able to kind of weather the storm and able to get a victory and move on to another Super Bowl for them, because they've been to multiple Super Bowls, have won multiple Super Bowls, so they move on. My point is this, and I want to get your take. Do people realize how difficult it is to get to that position, and in some cases difficult to get to the ultimate position, which is win a championship? And do they kind of poo-poo it? I guess I'll use the phrase that was used yesterday. Poo-poo it, and are just kind of assumptive when it comes. Just kind of assume that, you know what, the Lions are going to be a good team. They should get back there next year or the year after or the year after that. Is that the right mindset that organizations and fans, quite frankly, should have when it comes to their teams?
Well, more fans than organizations, because organizations have been there. They know what's true.
Right.
Because there's no guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guarantee that the Lions will ever get back to the
even the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, there's no guarantees. I hope they do. They're young and they got a great coach. I think. The going on fourth down. Guess what? He won the other games by going on fourth down.
Right.
He's done it his whole. So, it's funny about fans though, and announcers and everything. They go at him. You should have kicked the field goal, but he's been true to himself the whole time.
Yeah.
Then if it was the other way and he kicked it and missed the field goal, well, he wasn't himself. He should have gone for it. So it goes both ways.
Well,
right?
I would counter that by saying this. Yes, that's been that, and that was a lot of the narrative after the game was that it's been Dan Campbell's MO all season long. He's been a riverboat gambler, fly by the seat of his pants, caution to the wind, go for it on fourth down a lot. That's what he's been doing. The problem is this. He was wrong multiple times during the regular season doing that, okay? The times that he did go for it and get it, okay, you can live with it because he made it, right? And even some of the times where he went for it and didn't make it, you could justify it and you can understand it, all right? But there was also times during the regular season where he did it, Dallas and Carolina, where it was the wrong decision, okay? It was just flat out wrong. He was reckless, and he shouldn't have done it. And we're not going to accept, and when I say we, I'm talking about Lions fans and Detroit media and other people, talking heads, aren't just going to accept, oh, yeah, it's because he's a wild child, and that's just his MO. That's just what he does. So fast forwarding to this game, okay, so it's one thing to have an MO to do that. It's another thing to do it in completely wrong situations, right? And I described this on the internet and on X and across the board on social media after the game on Sunday, and a lot of people echoed this sentiment. Okay, you don't need to gamble when you don't need to gamble, okay? If it's a situation, obviously, where there's weather, you have a kicker that might have issues, right? A kicker that can't kick field goals. That's not the case, right? Badgley is a guy who can kick field goals 50 yards in.
How many field goals? What's his field goal? How many did he kick this year?
I don't have it off the top of my head right now.
I would guarantee.
I think he's fine. He's fine.
I would guarantee he kicks field goals less than half as many as the regular team because that's what he does. His coach
well, you're talking about Dan Campbell making a decision, right?
No, I'm talking about the kicker making. How many?
He's a fine kicker. He's fine.
How many has he kicked during the whole season?
I don't have it in front of me, but yeah. I don't think he's some kicker that.
I bet it's half as many as other kickers on other teams.
Well, that'd be because Dan Campbell.
Yes, absolutely, but that's still the case. So here's my case too. So gambling, and he does the whole thing where he goes over there and he looks at it and does that's his whole deal. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So and he's gonna make the decision. If he makes that, game's probably over.
No, that's another misconception too. So if he makes it, they get the first down. They're still 30-plus yards from getting to the end zone.
Sure, and a lot
of time. And the rationale for a lot of
clock.
people, Mo, is that, he's going for it there. Yeah, is what you just said. A lot of people echo kind of what you said. They're like, oh, yeah, if he goes for it there and gets it, he's got a first. They just don't even say he has a first down. They say, oh, yeah, they can go down and score a touchdown and take a 3-touchdown lead as opposed to a 17-point lead if they get the field goal. No, they don't automatically have a touchdown because they get the first down. They have 35 yards still to go against a – by the way, it's not like it's the Arizona Cardinals defense you're going against. You're going against the Niners defense.
Then you have to look at their record in the red zone. And then you have to look at that. And then you have to look at the probability that they score. Then you have to look at how many minutes they take off the clock so the other team can't come back because they have less time on the clock. So all that comes into play.
But Dan Campbell's not doing all that in real time in that moment when he's making a decision. Yeah. It's Dan Campbell. He made the decision, fly by the seat of his pants. That he's like, you know what? I'd rather get the first down here than kick the field goal.
I don't agree with that.
You think he's doing all kinds of analytical analysis?
If he's not, he should have done it a week ago. He should have done it a month ago. He has 27 coaches. They should go through every scenario of every game and be ready for that, or they're not very good coaches.
Right.
They're ridiculous.
But it's situational football too.
At some point you go by feel.
Situational football in that moment.
Yeah, and his feel is to go for it. Right. But I'm not saying he didn't think about that. He didn't think about the odds. He didn't think about the yardage. Of course they did. They have a game plan. Or unless they're the worst coaching staff ever in pro sports, of course they had a plan. Now he's going to make that final decision. It was wrong in this case.
Yeah.
But and the other thing on the other end is it's about momentum, and momentum is real. I've seen it. You've seen it. Yeah. Momentum is real. So if you do kick it and get three points, then the momentum stays on your side. If you don't, go to fourth, then it shifts to the other side, and that's what happened. And momentum is real. I've seen it. It happens all the time.
Yeah, I would argue that it absolutely would kind of get things back to square one because the Niners came out in the second half, kicked that field goal to cut it to 14, right? That's their first possession. They kicked that field goal to make it a 14-point game. Then the Lions, of course, they drive down the field. They have a chance to kick the field goal to get it back to 17. So I would argue that not necessarily that it would be push the momentum towards the Lions, but it would push it back to square one where you had again a 3-score lead on the road in the third quarter, essentially the middle of the third quarter. You have a 3-score lead in the NFL, and then the Lions could just continue to run their game plan that was successful in the first half, which was what? Run the ball with Montgomery and throw the ball to Ra St. Brown and to Laporta and those guys and kind of just keep the status quo. Instead, what happened? They go for it on fourth down. They don't make it. The Niners get the ball there. San Francisco then goes down and scores a quick touchdown. Then all of a sudden they're down by 7. And I'm telling you right now, Mo, a lot of us Lions fans and probably people that were rooting for the Lions like you that weren't Lions fans were saying, you know what? There's a good chance that the Niners are going to tie this game up, even though they're still down 7 at that point.
Let me ask you.
And they did go down and tie the game up. And then it was just knuckle up action for everybody.
Let me ask you
that.
this.
Yeah.
When did the 50-yard face mask reception happen? When did that happen?
That was in the fourth quarter. That was, if I'm not mistaken, it was on the drive that gave that ended up giving them. They were down by 7 right after they scored that touchdown. The Niners were now down by 7, right? Where the interception would have bounced. They threw a flag. I thought it was going to be pass interference.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
And they threw a flag, and it bounced off the defensive back's face mask. And Ayuk catches the ball at the 1-yard line. So essentially, it's a catch at the 1-yard line. And then they go in and score the touchdown. I believe that was a touchdown that made it a 7-point game. But I'm telling you right now, Lions fans were already our backsides were already clinched.
Yeah, but you can't.
We were already sweating.
You can't think about it. When there's a 52-yard reception when the ball hits the guy's face mask. You can't count on that.
Okay. So Numchuck gave us some good stats. So I believe these stats are correct. The Lions had the second fewest field goals in the NFL this year. 19 field goals made in the NFL. The Patriots, the only team that had 16 field goals, which was less.
How many did
they were
he
tied
make?
with.
How many did he make?
They were tied 19 field goals. They were tied with Washington.
19 out of how many?
Yeah, with 19 field goals made.
Yeah, I know.
But I get that. In the regular season, Dan Campbell.
Did he miss extra points also? I think he missed 4 or 5 extra points during the season also.
He made 48 extra points. It doesn't say how many he missed.
I
don't think he missed a lot.
He missed 4 or 5.
He was 92.3% from extra points. So I assume that's normal, right? Yeah, every other guy's like, you've got obviously some kickers that are at 98, but it's around 96. It's around average.
How many are the other kickers kicking? How many are they making?
Well, that's the thing. As far as field goals, it goes up to 36. The Jets and the Cowboys had 36. Seahawks had 35 field goals made. Bears had 35.
And what did the Lions
Texans,
have?
Had 16.
Yeah, so half.
So half, yeah.
Half, yeah.
But to your point, you're exactly right, though. Your point's right. That Dan Campbell, yes, that was his plan in the regular season. It's like, hey, if it's 4th down and 2 or in, I'm going to go for it on 4th down, even if I have a 35-yard field goal try. You know what I mean? So that's kind of his thing.
Yeah. Or it could be, I don't trust that dude.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that it's the NFC Championship game. And again, I go back to this. You have a chance to take a 3-touchdown or 3-score lead in a game against the Niners where you dominated them thoroughly in the first half.
So that was a big decision. But that's not what lost the game. A 50-yard face mask reception. I mean, come on, man.
Well, yeah, that was a reason. Also,
wasn't it 3rd down?
Also,
I think it was 3rd and long or something.
Also, the timely fumble by the Lions,
but I mean,
which was in their territory.
Yeah, let's go to my Chiefs, right? They probably don't. They go into overtime if the Raven guy doesn't fumble on the 1-foot line.
Right.
On the 1-foot line. Yeah. So those bounces, and that's why I'm saying momentum is real. When things start going bad, they snowball. When things go good, they snowball. I've seen it happen. Like in the 2012 Olympics in London, I was assistant coach for Chris Finch in the Great Britain national team. Mm-hmm. We were in the pool play, and we had beat China, and we lost to Spain. And if we beat Australia, we go into the medal rounds, which is we were like ranked 50th in the world or something. So we're up by 22 points against Australia in halftime. 10-minute quarters, 20 minutes left. We're up 22. We lost the game by 18. That turnaround happened that fast. Wow. It was first half, every shot went in. We got every call. We're making free throws. Everything going great. And then in the second half, it flipped fast. And then now they hit a 3 where the ball bounces up almost over the backboard and goes in, all that stuff. And that I could feel it happen with the Lions. Once that momentum took, I'm like, I felt the same way. I'm like, damn, I really wanted to see a Lions-Chiefs Super Bowl here in Las Vegas.
And then you go against the backdrop, Mo, of the Lions 32 years since their last playoff run, right, in 1991. They've won 2 playoff games here in this playoff season, which is great, right? And that's a hump you get over. It's an organization that has kind of wallowed in either mediocrity or just been one of the worst franchises in the NFL. You got a fan base that is just hungry for a winner. All that, you throw all that in too, and then you see what happens on Sunday. I'm telling you, Mo, it was gut wrenching. And again, if you listen to sports radio the last few days, it's kind of the running theme is it was a great season for the Lions, no question about it. They became a darling of the NFL, kind of, both at the end of the regular season and into the playoffs. But it's also a feeling of devastation of what could have been, right? Because it would have been a fascinating matchup to see the Lions play the Chiefs. And by the way, there's also a personal angle to it because we're here in Vegas, right, Mo? And myself as a Lions fan, there's a lot of Lions fans here in town. Getting a chance to see the Lions play their first Super Bowl in our hometown, in Las Vegas, in the first Super Bowl in Las Vegas, is something that would have been extraordinary to kind of see, and that's not going to take place now. And instead, now we got to watch the Niners play in the Super Bowl, as Lions fans, and we're going to be bitter, for the next 2 weeks about it.
Well, I'm going to say, the coaches and the players, it's totally different. So it's like, okay, put the Gold Cup out there, right? And it's 100 yards away. And we would like to get there, and we're working towards that. And you know what? We came up a little short. Oh, well, we'll get them next year. Or the Gold Cup is 1 foot from your hand, and you're getting ready to reach it and put your fingers around it, and then it's snatched away. Totally 2 different ways. I've been in both situations, and it's heartbreaking. Those players, those coaches will never forget, we'll put it behind us and we'll do it. I mean, I'm still feeling Game 7 in the Boston Garden 40 years later.
Exactly, right? And Dan Campbell, I mean, there's been coaches that have come out on media the last couple of days, and, of course, commentators and talking heads, too, saying, look, Dan Campbell, if he never gets back to an NFC Championship game, right? If he never has a chance to win a Super Bowl, this is going to be something that's going to dog him the rest of his life.
No question.
The decisions that he made in this game. So, I hate to be, Debbie Downer and doomsday see Winn when it comes to this, but that could become a reality, right? I mean,
you never know.
There is absolutely no guarantee that the Lions are going to get back there.
Every coach on every team, NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, NBA, when they have a good team like that, when I was in Dallas with the Mavericks, Don Nelson said it. I've heard it before. Actually, I think he said it before Game 7 in Boston Garden 40 years ago. Listen, guys, we go out there, play our hearts out, do our best, feel free, but there's no guarantee we're ever going to be together again. And in this situation, that's just sports.
Coming at us live here in studio is Paul Mokeski, one of our favorites. He's a longtime NBA veteran player, longtime coach. We'll take our final break. When we come back here on Pushing the Limits, I want to pick some of Mo's brain when it comes to some aspects of coaching and the NBA and the mentality of today's young basketball player, because I think there is a distinct difference in the way that coaches are able to operate when it comes to the 2020s as opposed to even as recently as the 2010s and earlier. And I want to get some of his thoughts on that. It's Pushing Limits coming your way live. Chris Winn in for Brian Shapiro. Much more on the way after our final break when we continue. Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Winn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Winn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits, the fastest growing radio show in the Valley. And now we've expanded our reach to include live stream ads on social media with over 20,000 daily views. So are you ready to take your business to the next level? Then get in on the action. Our team will put together the right ad package for you that meets your business needs. So what are you waiting for? Send us an email, sales@ptlradioshow.com. That's sales@ptlradioshow.com. and reach your target audience while maximizing the advertising impact of your business. That email again, sales@ptlradioshow.com. That's sales@ptlradioshow.com.
Hungry for the best barbecue in Las Vegas? Come out to the infamous barbecue and meat market, John Mull's Meats and Roadkill Grill in Las Vegas. John Mull's was featured on the Food Network's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Now take home delicious meat selections for your grill, and while you're there, grab a bite of the best barbecue in Las Vegas. With 2 locations now at Tom and Gowan or on North Decatur, you're sure to find the perfect meats for your next barbecue or party. Find us online at johnmullmeats.com.
Pushing the Limits coming away live on a Wednesday. KSHP here live in Las Vegas, 107.1 FM, 1400 AM, streaming on the World Wide Web on the KSHP YouTube page as well as the Facebook page. You can find us also on the phone line, 702-221-7283, if you have a question for our guest.
Al William calling.
Al calls in all the time.
William.
William, JD, and all others like to chime in. Give a hey Mo, little constructive criticism of Winn on the airwaves.
Shots fired.
Like to fire away some blasts at my demeanor on the air.
The Swiftie effect is real. Telling you, Al
It's a real
William,
thing.
it's real.
They don't want to put Swiftie up there. They don't want to put Taylor Swift up there with Elvis Presley and Michael Jackson. I mean, look, I get it. She's not yet 40. But Mo, am I getting a little crazy? Am I out of hand putting Taylor Swift in the same aura that is the Michael Jackson and the Elvis Presley?
I heard a quote by Jason Kidd of the Dallas Mavericks that put Luka in the same breath as Kobe and MJ. So,
okay, I think that's a little ridiculous.
And he's 25, but he's doing crazy. So it's kind of that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, a little different though, isn't it? With sports, with
Why?
With athletes.
Why?
Because he's only 25.
So how old's Taylor Swift?
I love Luka. I think he's a great player, and he's going to be I don't. There was that whole moniker in the last couple of years. Imagine when this guy figures out the NBA and figures out how to play basketball, as a professional.
He's been playing professional since he was 13 years old.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's that idea out there that he still has something to learn, and that he's going to make some kind of even more of a monstrous jump once he does learn that.
Luka has something to learn about anger control and leadership. That's what he has to learn.
And so it's a great segue, Mo, because we're going to talk about today's player in the NBA and in college. and maybe even in high school if you want to talk about it, because high school kids, they really do have almost a sense of professionalism in some way, shape, or form with this NIL stuff that's on the horizon for them once they get to college. I got to get your take, because you're someone who not only as a player played in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. You've coached in the 90s, right? You coached in the early 2000s and the mid 2000s up until this point. You are well aware of the mentality that is the American athlete today, all right? And the elite American athlete, particularly from a basketball standpoint, okay? That's your expertise, right, as far as coaching and playing. And it's fascinating to me, and look, it's kind of raised its head in the NBA with this situation with Jonathan Kuminga and Steve Kerr in Golden State. Of course, Steve Kerr, very much accomplished coach with the Golden State Warriors, multiple championships, right? A great player in his own right in the NBA.
Yeah, 6 championship
for a number of years. He's got a ton of rings
as a player. With the Bulls of San
right?
Antonio. Yeah.
And so Steve Kerr has a certain status, right, as a coach and as a person in the basketball community, right? And you have a young player in Jonathan Kuminga who's still trying to establish himself. Just turned 21, I believe, right? Kuminga.
Yeah.
So extremely young guy.
22, yeah.
But it brings up the dynamic that is the player today, Mo, and the respect factor for coaches, right? And you talked about this in the break. There's certain coaches that are going to demand a ton of respect, right? And they're going to be able to coach the way they want to coach, how they want to coach, when they want to coach, and exercise their principles as a coach. And then there's some that don't, quite frankly, don't have that cachet, right? When it comes to both the NBA and the college game.
Just ask Adrian Griffin.
Yeah, so Adrian Griffin, with the former coach of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Maybe Darvin Ham here in a week or so.
Exactly, right, with the Lakers.
Yep.
Right, so I'm curious your thoughts, because you have to have a certain ability, I guess is the word I'm going to use, right, Mo, when it comes to coaching the kids of today. And when I'm talking about the kids of today, I'm talking about the last 10 to 15 years, right? As far as these young athletes, elite basketball players in the United States. I think it's different, isn't it, Mo, than it was back in the 1970s, the 1980s, the 1990s, and the early 2000s. It's a different kind of animal that you're facing in the game of basketball today.
Yeah, well, first of all, the money's different, right? Mm-hmm. Larry Bird made $1 million a year.
Right.
That's minimum now. Mm-hmm. You got guys making $50 million a year. So, and back when I played back then, the coach made more money than the players. No coach makes more money than their star players anymore in the NBA. Not one. Mm-hmm. So, your power is limited. And, I say, I've talked about coaching a lot and been a consultant and stuff, especially at the highest level like the NBA. You have to know what you're doing, and you have to be able to show that so the players go, oh, yeah, okay, he knows what he's doing. Then you need to be able to communicate it. Then the bottom line is the players in the NBA have to let you coach them. They cannot let you coach them. If LeBron told Darvin Ham in practice when he said, hey, we're going to run this play, he says, no, screw you, we're not running that play. Guess who's going to get fired in the long run? They won't run that play. And that never was the case back in the day. And now there's very few, Popovich and Spoelstra and Steve Kerr maybe, that are able to coach similar to what they did, what coaches did back in the day. But, the players, the money, even in college, NIL money, transfer rule in college. So now if players get upset, they just leave or move. And, or James Harden or any of these other players in the NBA that demand a trade. You will trade me or I won't. Ben Simmons, I'm not going to show up. So that's the power struggle. And being a coach at the highest level, I talk about college or pro, you're a coach, you're a mentor, you're an uncle, you're a father figure. Steve Kerr is a little younger than me. He's probably 61, 62. Mm-hmm. And, Kuminga's 21, 22. Yeah. So, it's a father figure. You got to manage egos, manage staffs, coaching staffs. Everything comes into play.
I think there's a higher case, though, and there's just more – this is the way I'll describe it – more disrespect for your elders nowadays, right, when describing the coaching-player dynamic in sports. And by the way, this isn't just strictly to basketball. I think it's across the board in sports, period. I think there was more reverence back in the day, and I'm talking about pre-2010, for you use the term father figure, coach, someone who's looked at it as like a mentor, older brother. There's more reverence for people like that, because of their experience and because of what they've gone through, than there is today. Am I wrong on that? I mean, am I over speculating when it comes to that? Because I think that is absolutely the case. I think there is a lack of respect for your elders, and I don't mean to sound like old guy on my porch type of guy.
But you are. Get off my lawn.
But I get off my lawn type of guy. But do you get the feel that there is? Because look, it's one thing if Magic Johnson says has an issue with Paul Westhead, right, and gets him fired in LA. It's one thing if it's Michael Jordan or Isaiah Thomas. But it's another thing if it's Jonathan Kuminga, right, who has issues with Steve Kerr, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
let's take that Magic Johnson,
right?
The best players ever, right?
Exactly.
You know how long he coached the Lakers for? 1 month. He quit.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm not doing this."
Well, he was a terrible coach. He was not good as a good coach. He's not a good coach.
He coached for a month. You don't know if he's a good coach. He coached for 1 month and got pissed at players with phones in the locker room, not caring, and he left. Yeah. They didn't respect him. So, the respect level, but also mentality has changed. I told this when I was coaching. When I played, you were a fear of the coach or respected him, whatever you want to call it, and he would say, run through that wall, and you would run through the wall. Now, when you tell a player to run through the wall, you have to tell them why. Why am I running through the wall? Yeah. Well, you're going to get a scholarship, or you're going to make more money, or whatever that is. So that's a mentality change that's happened.
Yeah, no question. But there's also, and we talked about this during the break also, right, Mo? Is there certain coaches that are able to coach, and then there's certain coaches that aren't.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And rattle off some of those names that are able to do it, and some that aren't.
80% of the NBA are not allowed to coach how they want to coach. Yeah. Period. So you got Popovich, you got Spoelstra, you got Kerr, you got Ty Lue. There you go.
And maybe I brought this up. Maybe Doc in Milwaukee.
So that's 5 out of 30.
Yeah.
I mean, you think.
And the rest of the guys end up like David Blatt, or end up,
who's a great coach, by the way, won world championship,
and just gets bounced out after 40 games because there's some issues with LeBron and others on that team, right?
Well, LeBron had his people, and they did everything. They built the they built the $30 million practice facility close to LeBron's house. Yeah, that's what they did. And and name me another league that superstar players can dictate and demand coaches, hires, and personnel moves. I mean, Giannis did it in Milwaukee. He kind of made that little trade. LeBron's done it forever. But name me a quarterback in the NFL that can do that. Brady's not playing, but maybe him. But besides, or hockey, or baseball, but basketball is a unique situation, and egos and money have created, I hate to say this, but kind of a monster.
And basketball, too, just the nature of the sport. You got 5 guys, right, that are the starters. Yes, you got a basketball team with 12 guys on it. But it's just a different animal when it comes to superstars in the NBA. Have more pull. They have more pull. You just said it kind of. I'm kind of saying it a different way. Yeah. So superstars in the NBA have more pull than a superstar in other sports.
And it was like that for a while. But so when I played with the Milwaukee Bucks, if I had a problem and went to the coach, and he would listen to me, but okay, great. If Sidney Moncrief had a problem, that's a different animal. But at the same time, at that point, Sidney Moncrief couldn't say, well, you need to trade Mo or do this or do that. They wouldn't do it. Now they would. Right. Depending on the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, there's a handful of stars in the NBA that have that kind of cachet.
Let me give you these stats then, Chris.
Yeah.
And I've said this to players all the time. The NBA is made up of 5% superstars, 10% stars, and the rest are just role players. They're just role players. Yeah. They're well-paid role players. I mean, if I'm 7 foot, I could shoot a 3, I could roll the basket, I could play defense, I'd be making $10-15 million a year, but I'm still a role player. Yeah. So that's the difference. But those stars have been elevated that they're making $40, $50, $60 million. In the next 5 years, there's going to be a $100 million a year player in the NBA.
Yeah. It's also fascinating too, right, Mo, because of the NIL deals now in college basketball. Are we going to see a swing now back to where players just say, hey, I'm going to stay in college, right? I may not necessarily like the situation that I may enter into in the NBA. I may go to a team that I might not necessarily think that I'm going to thrive in. And so, therefore, I'm going to stay in Lawrence at Kansas. I'm going to stay in Chapel Hill at North Carolina. I'm going to stay in Durham at Duke. I'm going to stay in Ann Arbor at Michigan because of NIL deals. Kids are able to make money in college now. And, I mean, there are situations where kids are making money in college. You're going to make more NIL money than you're going to make in the NBA.
Very few, though, because, like, the average salary in the NBA is like $2 million. Right, so I know, like at Kansas, the big kid that transferred from Michigan, I think he's making $1 million.
Dickinson.
Most of those guys are making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. That's great. Shoot, I wish I did. Yeah. But that's still not NBA money. The people that are making those decisions, take Eddie, the 7'2" kid from Purdue, right? Yep. So he was player of the year in college last year. He did not get drafted. No one drafted him, not even second round. So now he's tearing it up again, but he was more free to go, okay, you know what? I'm going to go back to Purdue. They're going to pay me $500,000-$600,000. I wasn't drafted, so what I'd have to do is maybe make a team and play in the G League or go overseas and make $1 million. But I'm going to stay in Purdue where I'm comfortable, see if I can increase, but I'm still going to make $500,700,000. So that's where it really kicks in.
Well, that's kind of because you really want to talk about the majority, right? You're not going to talk about the minority. Yes, there are guys who are lottery picks or whatever who are going to be instrumental pieces of NBA franchises that might have a financial benefit. Yeah. But there's the majority of guys like you talked about that are going to be playing in Greece, playing in Italy, right? Playing in the G League, playing wherever. And so it might be more beneficial for them financially just to stay in college as opposed to doing that.
Lottery picks are going to make between $10 and $20 million in their first contract. Right. That's a lot of money. Yeah. The second level of the NBA, you're going to make about $5 or $6 million guaranteed. Than the others. So there's kind of that play with NIL. Also, now you can transfer at will pretty much. The transfer portal has changed college basketball and college sports. You can be irrelevant as a team, and then the next year you could be in the Final Four because of the transfer portal if you're smart with it. And you have to have the NIL money to go with it.
A lot of flexibility, Mo, for these college kids when it comes to options.
You know how much I made? At Kansas, I made $15 a month in laundry money.
Oh my gosh. That is going back. That's going back, folks. We're going back to the 70s, baby.
Time machine, baby.
That's how you do it. Paul Mokeski, we really appreciate you spending some time on a Wednesday and joining us. Always some great insight.
What
do you got? You got a little Kansas City Chiefs
No, I got a gift for you guys.
Stuff on you?
I got a gift for you guys. Here.
Oh, we got cards.
Here I signed
We've got cards.
I signed some cards for you. Too bad Brian. Too bad Brian wasn't here.
Mo, I was loving the video that you shared on Facebook the other day with you knocking down that shot. Paul Mokeski from deep, baby, in an NBA game, nationally televised game on CBS. By the way, I was getting nostalgic for my old school NBA when I saw that.
Well, there's your autograph card. Too bad Brian's not here. You can get one, but hey, maybe next time, Brian.
He's got like the mini mohawk in the front of his head there too. That's top notch right there, my friend. Mo, we appreciate the time.
Absolutely.
We'll talk to you again soon. Hey, thanks to all the listeners out there on PTL.
Chiefs.
Thanks to all the callers. TC Martin Show coming up next, everybody. Have a great Wednesday. We'll talk to you again soon. Brian Shapiro, back tomorrow.